like just to get into the club is a transformational experience. And that's true for new wellness pros coming into Wellness Pro Academy. Just like going through a process and getting in is a life transforming experience because we keep making it better. And then you take all that yoga and meditation training that you have, and you take all that training and you like gather it into a ball, right in your third eye, and you just like project onto the future. This is the club. This is the member cap. This is who it's for. This is the lifetime customer value. These are the stories.
You are the well-being wisdom warrior, the heartfelt healer,
the luminary leader,
the health harbinger,
the shaman, the witch, the guru,
the guide of humanity to an embodied, enlightened future.
Welcome to the Well Pro Show, the podcast for wellness pros,
where your wellness lifestyle is your core leadership strategy.
Experience the camaraderie of collaborative colleagues.
Where your job as a wellness pro is to guide the transformation.
You are the resistance, the future, the way forward.
You are the community counselor, the change maker.
The Well Pro Show, brought to you by futurist thought leader Kate Stillman and the team at Wellness Pro Academy. Made for you, by us.
Okay, Well Pro Show. We're renaming this to the Well Pro Show. We already renamed it once from yoga health coaching to wellness, to Wellness Pro podcast. But we decided we'd like Well Pro Show better. Okay, I'm here with Nina Sachs, and we're going to talk about how to sell out seats and build your wait list, or how to get butts in seats. Nina, you mentioned like this is a reoccurring issue, right? It just in general for people who have memberships. It's like there's a big competency around lead flow. Now, is it the case, and this is where I like to troubleshoot a little bit, and why don't you tell people about really what it's like to work with you for a year and be in your club? What's their A to B? Where do they start? What happens in a year?
A to B, I think it's different for everyone, but everyone ends up getting to a better place. So they may come in with, I kind of have like 3 different avatars. So I don't know if that's also maybe where my challenge is, but they'll come in with a challenge of, maybe they want to improve their health. And at the end, they're reaching that. And they're also realizing that personal development is what they needed. So they have more realizations, ahas on the way. So I would say it's more like an awakening.
Okay. So another way to look at it is through the 5 koshas. It's like what happens in their physical body, their annamaya kosha, what happens in their energy body, their pranamaya kosha, what happens in their mind or emotional body, their manomaya kosha, what happens in their intuition or ability to make grounded decisions in connection with their soul, the jnanamaya kosha, and then bliss body. Like, do they have access? I mean, I find like most people don't even have access. It's not even like on the radar, but sometimes it already is. So some people's avatars are, pretty advanced. And then it's just like a deepening of the bliss body, or other people in their life getting like more access to that through them, sort of thing. So do you want to talk about that? Just give me a quick rundown of what you see in the transition from here to there.
So definitely, and like you say, I think I've got members that are in different parts of their journey. Also, I mean, I've got a small group at the moment. I've had 6, now I'm back down to 4. I'll probably be up to 5 in September. So it's not like I've got a big number to work from. But in those, you can
also look back to all, because you've owned a yoga studio, you can really look back to all the people you've ever worked with and any results you've ever given. It doesn't have to just be with your club.
So definitely the biggest one is physical, that most people will start off with. Just looking at that physical aspect and improving their health. And if it is just the yoga studio, it is, coming with aches and pains and that becoming less and sleeping better. Those are kind of like the main ones that happen. With those who are in the club, they're more going through kind of like they're actually activating that bliss body where they're actually really enjoying life and in a space where they can see things a lot more clearly, and they understand how the decisions they make in life impact their future.
Okay.
Whereas those who are in the beginning and more like in the physical body and have the aches and pains, they're not able to access that wisdom, I find.
Okay. And then how, if you look at like relationally, then how do their relationships change? Relationship with self, relationship with their core people.
Relationship with self, definitely becoming a lot more self-confident, self-loving towards themselves, willing to take time for themselves to do what they need. And then what they're realizing is that that has a positive impact on their relationships with their kids or their spouse. And that's, I haven't really ever sold that as part of kind of like what I'm doing or benefit of it, but everyone who's come in has mentioned that is, or has gone through the program with me, has commented on how their relationships with either their fiance, their boyfriend, their husband, their kids has improved.
Okay. All right. And what's the value of that? Lifelong value of that?
Monetary or?
Always, because that's how people have to invest in your club.
I don't know. I haven't asked what it's like, what the value to that would be to them.
Yeah. So that's, if you're having trouble filling your club and your club's working, right, it's helping people, it's changing their life. Right. And so it's like when people look back on, the people that you've worked with, when they look back on, let's say the last, 20 years and say like, what would have been some of the most valuable experiences that have taught you the most, like of what you needed to learn in this lifetime for yourself? It's like, would your name come on that list? Okay. What's the value? So it's hard to, this is something I think doesn't get talked about enough, but for entrepreneurs, like there's a reason you do what you do. If you're a wellness entrepreneur, there's a reason you do what you do. There's a reason you chose a revenue model that you chose or have upgraded over time to a revenue model that can scale with you. And then the structure of trading services in the marketplace, we use club, right? It's a membership. It's an annual pass. It's an A to B journey. People start here, they get there, and then it keeps going. So things like A to B, B to C, C to D, because there's reoccurring enrollment. People want to stay.
And that's exactly what I'm noticing with those who are in there. The first two, they enrolled immediately for a second year. The third one took a break for a month, and she's like, I'm back in because it's easier being with you guys. So
easier to be in. Community of belonging and becoming. So what's the value of the community of belonging and becoming? You have to go back and ask these. You've got, okay, so what I was going to say about all that with the wellness entrepreneur, once you choose a revenue model, right, how you're going to exchange value and you package to results, which you've already done all that. That was a lot of work. And you've already done all that. And you've already got clients with results that are signing up again, right? So like, honestly, the majority of the work is done. So there's an exhalation in your nervous system with like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Now, you have to believe in that club, in the member cap, until it's sold out for waitlist. And that's the power of your mind. And from your Vedic training, like the mind is in every cell of your body. So it's a training in the subtle body. It's a training in the intuitive body. And you're using basically like mental rehearsal in the mind or visualization or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, imagine a club. So the interesting thing about the curriculum at Wellness Pro Academy with the 6 competencies is like, you've probably got to go back to core 1, like your club mindset, your offer, and like just roll through the whole, I would just roll through the whole 6 weeks, the whole 6 competencies, just like kind of like roll through, and anything you're like, am I doing that? What is my evidence of success on like any single lesson? Like, what is my evidence that I am doing that? Because you've already done a lot of it, and you're like, evidence of success, members getting to results, right? Evidence of success, number of leads on my calendar a week. Evidence of success, conversion rate with those leads. So if you aren't putting your energy into the vision of the club at sold out with a wait list. Like no one can do that work for you, Nina. But once you can do it, you can get your members to do it. You can even get your leads to do it. It's something that starts to go, you can get your friends to do it. Like you can get everybody. You can get everybody behind your vision. I mean, with Primal Habits for me, with Club Thrive and Primal Habits, like I kind of can't get over it now. Because a year ago, I wanted to do this. 5 years ago, I had the inkling that something else was coming that was far beyond Body Thrive and the Habits of Yogis. And I didn't know exactly what it was, but we just kept experimenting. The club of Body Thrive just kept experimenting. And all of a sudden we ended up in Primal Habits. But now we have a club around it, right? And now the visualization of as that club grows, that's on me. And to call in, energetically, call in the people who are looking for this. And when they find us, to bring them on. And that's one simple funnel, core 4 leads, bring them on a heck of a journey just to get into the club. Just to get into the club is a transformational experience. And that's true for new wellness pros coming into Wellness Pro Academy. Just going through a process and getting in is a life transforming experience because we keep making it better. Right? We keep leaning into what's better, what helps wellness pros help more people faster, better, helps them help themselves, helps them believe in, you are the product, right? And so you're always representing. And then you take all that yoga and meditation training that you have, and you take all that training and you gather it into a ball, right in your third eye. And you just project onto the future. This is the club. This is the member cap. This is who it's for. This is the lifetime customer value. These are the stories. Then you build your hubs, core 4, right? So you go right back to what is the offer? You get more articulate about it because now you've got real member results. Then you go to hubs. Where are these people already wasting money? That's how I look at hubs a lot.
And so with that, that's one of the areas that I'm struggling with, being fully remote, is how do I find, hubs takes a lot of time and effort to build and create. How do I choose the right
have most hubs? It's really, you should already have them. So even back to this is where you get into your past lives. Who were you 2 years ago? Who were you 4 years ago? Who were you connected with? What businesses already know and can trust you? What a hub can be a person that talks to other people. Some of your members might also have hubs or be connected to hubs.
Yeah. And so kind of an example that I've used is my hairdresser, because she's a great hub and hairdressers are always fantastic. So kind of I reached out to her, I said, what is it that you're needing? I can create 3 simple 10-minute morning routines, yoga routines. What are the core issues that you're picking up with your clients coming in? And she was overwhelm, anxiety, stress. So I created 3 little things, popped them on YouTube, sent her the link. And I was okay, here you go. You're welcome to share these with your clients. So that worked well. Kind of when I just sent it to her, and then I followed up within a month. But I don't think there's been much activity since then. So how do I, I don't find that hub or what I did for that hub worked. What else would I do to engage in getting more traction from her? Because she's very happy to support and help. But I just think what I'd done.
Is she in your club?
No.
Is she a fit for it?
Yes.
Have you gone through a sales process with her?
I have, and I've asked her to do a strategy session a while back. And she's in a space where she doesn't think she needs it. But could see that it could be helpful for others.
Okay. So does she know what her goals are?
I'm just trying to think. I don't think she has like particular long-term goals, if
All
that
right.
makes sense. Like there's nothing.
I mean, that might be a really interesting conversation as well. Right.
So I definitely know what one of my challenges and struggles when I have these conversations is I don't like to poke the bear. And I do know that that's something that I need to work on and improve. I just find it's very unnatural for me to go there because I come from such a supportive and wanting to help people kind of background. So for me to scratch at a scar is challenging to do. And I find quite a few like of the yogis who I speak to who would be a good fit. They're in the space where they think everything's okay, like all is fine, like they're not, like things aren't bad enough for them to invest in making a change. Like, yeah, they would like to feel a bit better, but it's not urgent enough. They don't have the urgency or the agency that.
Okay. So you have more than one issue, right? You have an issue in leads, but you also have an issue in sales because you don't understand. Sorry, let me just post this. You don't understand how sales is a service, which is okay, like because you can learn, right? So what you just said to me, I mean, it's actually really interesting. I just interviewed 2 experts on scar tissue. Scar tissue is so interesting. If you leave scar tissue alone, what happens?
Just what gets like tighter builds.
And then what happens?
There's less mobility, there's less movement, there's less flow.
So then what happens to the potentiality of the organism that has the scar tissue?
Yeah, it just ends up being stuck.
Right. So it degenerates.
Mm.
Interesting, right? So is that parallel? Like when you really get sales, like you really get closer framework and you lean in and you say, this is my yoga practice. This is my yoga practice. Sales is a service. And if you don't scratch the scar tissue, I mean, literally, like one of the ways of healing scar tissue is you scratch it, you microneedle it. Like it's like literally you put pins in it, you scratch it. You're trying to get an immune response. You're trying to get blood back into this fibrotic tissue because fibrotic tissue, man, it's not integrated tissue. It can even become, I mean, one of the dangers of radiation therapy with cancer is that it turns tissue fibrotic, which then makes it increase in likelihood of having cancer. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not neutral. Scar tissue is not neutral. There's really nothing in the body I find that is neutral. Homeostasis isn't neutral. Homeostasis is insanely dynamic. It's always bound. It's always in a constant flux and flow of allostasis and homeostasis and redefinition of the microbiome community and like who's who and what's what. Everything's dynamic. And scar tissue is the opposite, like you just said. It's hard. It's like bone, but it's not functional.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got to dive into closer framework. You need in WPA, your accountability partner. You have to do this daily sales training and mock sales session. And then you've got to talk to everybody, like not just one hairdresser, talk to 10 hairdressers. Like, you know, like literally, like just go after. You've got nothing to lose. You've got a structure. Your structure is working. You need to get good at hubs and leads. Right? You need to have the hardest conversations ever. And from a place of, this is where your yogic powers are really handy. It's like, it's not from a place of judgment. It's not from a place of neediness. And you can talk to 10 hairdressers. You don't need one hairdresser to like fully be like bought in and want to talk to everybody about the club that they're in because they got a good deal, right? Or a real estate agent or like whatever, lawyer or like whatever, right? And so if I care more that you sell out your seats, I'm willing to poke the bear, right? So let me just say this. the core issue, the core shadow or mindset issue that I see in this is it's a bit where sometimes yoga training can work against you, especially traditional yoga training, where it creates a hierarchy between teacher and student. And there's the sense that, like, as a teacher, you're supposed to act in a certain way and be esteemed, and habits that are of that way. And that blocks intimacy, which is helpful in teaching. It's a helpful, more authoritative type tool. We also often do this with children, right? If it's like, I will model the way, act that way. In sales, we're getting much more horizontal. It's like very much like, let me sit beside you and have a very deep conversation, very deep, very confidential conversation. And if what happens on the other side is you become a club member, we'll both know exactly why. We'll both know exactly what the desired outcomes are. We'll both know exactly what the expected return on the investment is. And if it happens that we have this deep conversation and you don't become a club member, we'll also know why. Right? Whether it's like, it's just not a fit for, like, my club is not a fit for you, or indeed, I don't know. I mean, so much, Nina, the more I talk to people, it's like everyone needs the fucking club. Like, everyone needs to belong.
Well, this is it. And that's why it's so hard to kind of like bottle down on like an avatar, because I just look at everyone. I'm like, you'll do brilliantly in here anyway,
Right.
but I do understand them.
Why? Notice what you're noticing. So what do they all have in common?
They're just all out of balance, and they just have too complex a freaking life. They just need to simplify their life.
Right, exactly. And that goes back on I'm just going to write this in the notes, all the avatars have in common. This is showing up in Facebook, so you can find my notes in there for you after. They're too busy. You and I started this conversation before we hit record, right? And we were both just like, the do nothing, like the simplify and do nothing, and how mad.
No travel, no going anywhere, just be at home, be still.
And my last Ask Kate on Club Thrive was like kitchen sadhana. Like, we just talked about kitchen sadhana for like an hour, because I'm like, you're kind of doing it anyways. Everyone's doing some form of like some weekly cleanup routine. Hopefully we're all doing, like, even if it's just like taking the leftovers out of the refrigerator and dumping them in the trash, like that's a really low level form of kitchen sadhana, but it does exist. And it's like, that's the conversation people need, right? You'd all agree that all of your people could like tune in to a conversation of you just talking about saying no to the next activity and staying home and grounding and whatever, cleaning your refrigerator so that it aligns with the food body that you want to have next.
And I think I'm not doing enough of that. Kind of like, I'd written a couple of notes before we came on, and one of that is, I think people don't actually know what I do. So I think that's where I'm struggling with regards to like getting leads on my calendar, or just inquiries to talk to me even, because I think they all know that I've kind of like done yoga and I've transitioned towards kind of like this coaching stuff, but what actually is it? And I don't think I've spoken enough about what we do, one, in the club, what it's all about, and what the benefits are.
How developed is your one simple funnel? Like, in terms of this, like, have you rocked this or not? Because it doesn't sound like it.
So this is what I'm in the process with at the moment. This is what I've been doing on the last month.
You put a ton of energy into 4.1, 4.2, and 3.1. So that you could teach them, because you're such a good teacher. Just be like, I'm going to understand this to the point where I can teach it. That's it. Because is if you have that and you're like, okay, part of the issue is that not everybody I know has been through my one simple funnel. Everyone you know should have to go through that. Friends, family, past colleagues, like, just even for feedback, just for experience of the process. All you're trying to do is get as many people through that and get as much feedback as you can so you can make it work. It's a tinkering job. You know those kids that like have a car and they take it apart, like one of those little whatever Matchbox cars or what, I don't even know what they're called. They take them apart, and that's like the easy part. And then they have to like put it back together, and they tinker away until they like get the thing. That's you in one simple funnel. Until you can like put a few people in and get 1 or 2 course members out, right? You just keep working that process, and it's fun. it's fun because like people actually get to experience transformation in like before point of sale.
Mm. Mm.
And then
And
if they don't become a club member, they will recommend other people into the funnel. So it becomes self-renewing, and you just build that into the process of it's like, who do you know that's like too overscheduled and they just say they want to simplify and tune in and feel better and thrive? Like, who has said that to you this week? Let's get them on my calendar. Like, I can't wait to just bring them through this really cool process. If at the end they become a course member, great. If at the end they don't become a course member, but they refer someone else to the process, great.
And I think that's what I'm quite excited about. Like I have that simple funnel together now. I'm going to launch it on Women's Day, which is the 9th of August. So that's going to be, like you're saying, that's the test to see how it works.
And that's the first test, because it won't work. It'll work kind of. It'll work a little, right? But it's not even the point to have it work the first time. I mean, it's like, those people who come to yoga and they're the ones that have trouble taking their socks off in the lobby. Right. And then like you ask them to like sit on some props because their hips are so tight and they won't. And so they sit there and their like knees are up around their chin and they're so uncomfortable. They're making you feel uncomfortable because they're just so uncomfortable in their body. And then like after one yoga class, they're like, well, I can't do a back bend. You're like, no, you can't, because all you've done is sat on your ass for like 30, 40 years. Like you've sat, you've walked, you've lied down. You haven't bent backwards. You've barely stood up. Not in Tadasana. So it's like, that's the whole point. Is like, they got into the room though. Amazing.
Yeah.
And maybe even took their socks off. Like, wow, they sat on the floor. They haven't done that in 10 years and made some joke about Indians, right? Like, they haven't done it. So they did that. And now you get to make it even better. You get to put a chair on their mat, right? So next time they walk in and they sit in a chair and they can just relax and tune into the centering because they're not in pain or whatever, right? And so you tinker it. And that's one simple funnel. It doesn't end until you've got a wait list and you're just like, people fucking love going through that process. Whether they become a member or not, they just love that experience of going through that process.
And I think that's also where I just need to, kind of like what I was saying in that intro form is like, I definitely believe in the structure and my club, and I've got the patience. I'm in it for the long haul. Like that's not even a question. Like I know that's what I'm going to be doing till I'm in my 80s, 90s, 100s, however old I get. Like this is the way. So
paint that picture for your members. I mean, I have some people like, I haven't gone anywhere. Like I'm never going to kick anyone out. Like this is a community of belonging and becoming. And when you say that, because they know a lot of people who start things and don't follow through. Most people know a lot of those people, right? And you're making a stand for who they're becoming, not just in the next year, but in the next decade. And when you paint that picture for them as that's part of your offer, right? That's all part of, this is what this is over here. This is what we do. Now, the other thing in that vision of the offers, what's happening with the members as they're connecting with each other.
Yeah.
Study that.
Okay. I mean,
testimonials on
that they love being together and just being with the right people. I mean, that's
it. And so what exactly is the right people? Now define that in layman's terms so that someone can read a list, and you might put a list on social media. It's like one of those like yes, no infographics. It's like, are you hanging out with the right people? No. Here's 4 things that are happening. Yes. Here's 4 things that are happening. Hang out with the right people. And then you just like have a button. And they just click that button and something else happens, right? And that's the one simple funnel too. It's like everything leads to the one simple funnel.
Yes.
You got it. Just listen to this like 4 times. And then, like each time you listen, like, what am I doing better to this today? What am I doing better since the last time I heard it? Like, seriously, just keep doing that. You already know which lessons, like just keep drilling in there. And then, I mean, you're a yogi. You could build an altar to your club, something like that, something that holds the vision, that's something outside of your head that's holding the vision. I mean, that's why we use icons and emblems and altars and shit like that.
So what would be So what I'm thinking is like the smartest place to start is just to complete the funnel, get that sorted. And then, like you were saying, go through 4.1, 4.2, 3.1.
First thing to do is sit your ass on your cushion, use all your yogic powers, and vision the club with members, full member cap, full wait list. That. Get it grounded, like get it in your body, right? Because that's the vibe that you want to build the funnel from. That's the vibe you want to communicate from.
Okay.
And so that everything, Shakti, it's like everything is done from the spirit in which it was done with, sets a vibration into motion. So you're just connecting first at the vibratory level with like, what you have a calling. You are called to lead this club. You are called to be the person who's like, I would rather stay home this weekend and exhale, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll do that for all your members, right? You'll help them find their way home. So you're called to do this. From where, from what, I don't know. Like tune into that though. Like really tune in. Be like, what am I called? Ask the big questions. This is a quest. Who am I called? Who needs to find me? How do I help them find me? That's one simple funnel. How every morning you like wake up. How do I help them find me? Every night you go to sleep. How do I help them find me? Lesson in one simple funnel with the experiences and beliefs they need to have in order to become a club member. What needs to change from where they start when they find me, right? That's the essential lesson of one simple funnel. And then you techie it out so it gets more automated.
Are you a podcast listener ready to guide your wellness business to more profit? We have an exclusive offer just for you, introducing our unique abilities profit consultation. Sign up today at wellnesspro.academy/unique. Don't miss this opportunity to unlock your profit potential. During this personalized consultation, your expert coach will guide you to discover just how much money you're leaving on the table from an outdated business model. Say goodbye to trial and error and hello to tailored guidance that leverages your unique abilities. Your success coach will work closely with you to create a winning strategy that aligns with your strengths and vision. Don't let the challenges of running a wellness business hold you back from more profit any longer. Up-level your leadership with our actionable strategies. Overcome hurdles. Receive innovative solutions. Take that crucial step towards building the profitable wellness business you deserve. Schedule your free Unique Abilities profit consultation today. But hurry, this exclusive offer is only free for our valued podcast listeners. Don't wait. Unleash your unique abilities and unlock your true profit potential. It's time to make your mark in the world of wellness. Sign up today at wellnesspro.academy/unique. Namaste and have a great day.
That's it. You got this, Nina Sachs.
I
Woo!
do.
So what's the member cap? How many people? What's the sold out seats? What's the revenue?
So my member cap is 36 a year, and I'm working in staged revenue. So it's 18,000 Rand, which with the exchange rate, I think it's starting at just over $1,000. And then every 2 months, when I've got my 4 to 6 members joined, it increases by 4,000 Rand. So that I can get it to 36,000 Rand, which is $2,000, which is, I think it is. Does that make sense? Divided by 18, maybe not. My maths is not great at this time of night.
I would go through the whole offer again and reprice it. I would start like that where you want to get is 3,500 US, that the next passes go at 2. Build to member results and return on investment.
Yes.
If you want to give away a few out of 1,000, fine, but that's sales skills. It's like when you've seen it in yoga teacher training when like people just do what they're good at. Right?
Yeah.
And what happens when you just do what you're good at? Like in yoga,
Yes.
and say you're just like not good at inversions. Let's just go with that. You're not good at inversions, so you don't do inversions. And you don't really like back bends either, so you don't do those either. Then what happens?
Yeah. There's no progress. You don't get the benefits of what all those beautiful postures have. Yes, I get it. Okay.
They need you to charge them more so that they're more committed to their results, so that they need to learn how to invest in themselves through you. How much freaking money, Nina, have you invested in your wellness education? I mean, really?
No. Yes. A lot.
And you're going to hold them back from doing that in themselves because you won't get good at sales because you don't like backbends.
Yeah. I don't like inversions, but I do like backbends. But yes, I hear what you're saying.
Or
Okay,
seated.
it's time
I mean,
to
for
go
some
like
people,
that.
it's seated forward bends. Like they just cannot sit down. And then you have like the yogis that will only do seated forward bends. Oh my gosh. I remember practicing with this friend who was like super kapha, had a kapha imbalance. And she just wanted to do seated forward bends. And I'm like, okay, eventually you should put some tapas in. Add tapas and stir. So your tapas is the sales conversation. You have to care more that they learn how to invest for a lifetime in the future they want to experience next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think I just need to get, I need to get that funnel sorted. I need to get people through that so that they're at least coming onto my calendar. Because at the moment, I'm not getting people on my calendar. So when I'm doing that, at least I can have sales conversations happening and practicing that. So I've got a couple of accountability buddies that I'm practicing the sales scripts with. So at least there's a little bit of movement happening there, but it's not, I'm finding I'm not getting enough conversations in.
Right.
And that's
because you're not talking to enough hubs and you're not doing free talk. So it's like with the hairdresser, and to circle back to there, just say like, hey, is there, I mean, if you look at places that have open space, hairdressers have open space, yoga studios have open space. Most offices, including like real estate offices, like nothing's happening after 5 p.m. Like you can just go network and say, I want to give a free talk. So what do real estate agents all have in common? Everyone's going through a change in life if they're moving house. Right?
Yeah, well, see, this is my problem is that I'm so remote that I don't have, everything I do is online.
Okay. So then with online, it's like, who are the online hubs? Like who are other women in business that have parallel clients and they're not working in health? Maybe they're working with women entrepreneurs in business. Maybe they're working more on, I mean, there's even people who do other people's colors, I mean, it's like, you kind of want to look at exactly who are your hubs going to be in the future. And maybe it's you're working with yoga teacher trainer programs, right? People who are in yoga training, but they know they're not in integrity with their own habits. And then your hubs are all yoga teacher training programs. Like you've got to just try and see. And then, the question to them really is like, and you had it right with the hairdresser. It's like, how can you be of service? But it can also be like, hey, what are you trying to do? So let's take the yoga teacher training program, like finding out what it is. Maybe they're trying to add more value in their program and set it apart. Well, maybe you could be a counselor in their program, right? And then maybe that serves as a funnel in. It's like maybe you just show up and give an Ayurvedic talk once every 2 months. They can add more value to their program. Say you do that with 6 different yoga teacher programs, right? You just take off some of the load from them, right? And you have an upsell and they don't. So then blah, blah, blah. Right. So again, hubs are everywhere. It's just you getting focused on where are these people?
And I think it's just like you saying, just choosing one in a sense, like, yoga teacher training, like just focus on that for this next 6 months, see how that goes. And then from there, if that doesn't
don't
work,
focus on one, focus on 10. It's like more baskets of more eggs. You don't care if one cracks. Right.
Without overwhelming the poor little washer imbalance that can occur.
No, I mean, that's with the systems. And you already, in our last one, you worked on systems. So you just build it into a system. You use a good project management tool. You batch. It's just kitchen sauna all over again. It's just applied to hubs.
And I love systems. I think that's my favorite now.
Yeah. So make the systems work for you. You might be a lord in wealth dynamics. If you like systems, make the system work for you.
Yeah, maybe it's shifted from being a supporter to that, but I do enjoy it.
And then leverage a supporter with the yoga teacher training programs. Like, hey, I support yoga teacher training programs by, blah, blah, blah. And like the way it serves me is I help yoga teachers with their deep, personal integrity after they're done with their yoga teacher training program. Their integrity of their practice, their integrity of their teaching, their whatever. I mean, I don't know what your pitch is, but that's just an example. And you go right back to your vibe, your convictions, your habits. with that.
Okay.
And then you're just reading from that. And there's like 10,000 yoga teacher training programs out there. So like, why not?
Yeah, you're right.
There's even
and there's no one doing this in Africa. So it's kind of like we were saying before, like, being the first in the, industry, or kind of getting the foot in there. It's kind of like all that education, just teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, like our last conversation where I was just, saying that sometimes it's not easy being that initiator, because people haven't caught up to what is happening. So you kind of like I know I've got to have a bit more patience. Like, people will catch up to what I'm doing. It's just, I know it's slow.
Well, I mean, that's where you can just tune into, just 10x, just 10x, like Grant Cardone, 10x, just like 10x. It's not like so Vata imbalance, I think, comes from going in too many directions at the same time. Right? More than like 10xing something. 10xing, if it's going to create imbalance, it's going to create a pitta imbalance. Right? But like for you, the pitta's fine. Like it's there, use it. Like max out, your ability to command attention and take aligned action.
Yeah.
Right? That's pitta. And so if it's like, okay, I'm going to 10x on hubs and funnel and make a really cool funnel experience for a yoga teacher trainer, like someone that like basically the funnel is then for the hub, right? And that's all part of that hubs lesson. The templates are all there. That's what we use, right? Where it's like, I'll create the resources for you as a yoga teacher trainer so that you can, get people into whatever it is. Maybe you have like a daily habits for yoga teachers, right? I mean, that's what I did 20 years ago in San Francisco. I was like, daily habits for yogis. Just make it for yoga teachers, and then the funnel is like helping them help their students, and you just build it. And then you'll simultaneously have a funnel for like everyone else that hears your name that's not in that. That's your hub funnel.
Okay. So you kind of like saying have a hub funnel that works with a group of hubs that I'm thinking of, like we talking about yoga training, but I also have like the funnel of kind of like what I'm thinking of working with, kind of like what I've got happening now that I'm going to promote a woman. So it's like aging gracefully funnel that goes in for just the average woman or one of my avatars. And then just keep building, like as new hubs come in, just keep building.
Yeah. And you're really just building like the front part of the funnel, like just the first one or two steps. And that's where the diversity happens. It's like in Club Thrive, we have like 10 avatars. In Wellness Pro Academy and Club Thrive, we have 10 avatars of each. We're very, very broad, where we don't teach this in general, right? But it's just true to me. I'm just a meta thinker. Like in our clubs I will not niche down. What I'll niche down on is the taboo in Club Thrive. Like we are super grounded in the taboo. So, people that are whatever, if conventional is not working for them, right, then maybe it's time to leave conventional. And that's where we fit in. But it fits for a lot of different kinds of people. So that means on the very front part of the funnel, we have to have different ways of talking to those people very specifically so they can find us. But then 2 or 3 steps in, it all looks exactly the same. And that's true in Wellness Pro Academy, right? Yoga teachers, doctors, functional medicine, psychedelic psychotherapists, body workers, energy workers, light worker. I mean, it just goes on and on. And it's like at the outside, it looks different. Yoga studio owners, like we're doing this huge campaign right now for yoga studio owners because they don't have an upsell, right? And it's like they're leaving all the profit on the table. So we're just developing right now. And it's going to take us like, honestly, like 3 weeks to just dial this in for that avatar. But only the first 3 steps are different. And to some degree, 2 steps, right? And then it's like all the same. It doesn't matter if they're a yoga studio owner or a doctor. It all goes into the same exact sequence of experiences. Yeah.
And so are you enjoying, do you love the building of?
I mean, that's the thing about when I wrote Master of You on Dharma, like I've never had an issue with Dharma. I've never had an issue like deciphering what my Dharma was. Sometimes the issue has been like, oh, fuck, really? Like when all that's going, now we have to turn it all upside down and shake it on its head and see what lands on its feet. And so we had to do that. And Club Thrive landed on its feet, And what's interesting is all the past work. I was thinking about it this morning because I had to, just get grounded in ether element, space element, master of you, just like get the external environment at a vibrational quality of your future self. And that took me from 6:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. this morning. I'm just like literally like moving stuff around, cleaning stuff up, like arranging the space to be at the vibratory state of Club Thrive, right? It's like, yes, there's like all the taboo is out in the open in Club Thrive. So there's no need to apologize. There's no need to stay true to a tradition because it's all pre-traditional. It's all pre-cultural. It's all instinctual. So yeah, I'm totally in my, I feel like when I found Ayurveda in my late 20s back in the 90s. And I was like, this will last the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's a big enough container.
And did you find when you did like the shaking and wondering how things, Club Thrive would land on his feet, was that like a scary experience, or did you just know that like it was going to land and you were good with it?
And was it scary? I would say if I were to monitor my subconscious flipped out, like went into all the shadow issues, like all the ancestral patterns were like just like right there going by on the ticker tape. And it was like, yep, that's what happens when you do this. And then, this other part of me knows that I can't live in the container that I grew out of. It's like the butterfly, it's like the caterpillar coming out of its skin. Like you can't put the skin back on. So I would be a fraud. And that's way more uncomfortable than being a failure. I mean, for me, a failure is first attempts in learning. When I look at, it's like, it's really important for you to do, like, look at what you've done. So for me, like some concrete things I've done is written books. So I can just look at the books and be like, I learned from doing that. You've run a studio, you've run a podcast, you've run a nonprofit. Like you've done these things, like you've built these relationships. People know you, they know their integrity. If they don't know what you're doing and how you're helping people, and what the lifetime customer value of that is, that's your fault. That's not their fault. So how are you going to rectify that? Right? And if it's my fault that people don't know what we're doing in Club Thrive, that's my fault. How do I rectify that? Right? And then what is the hook? Right? Like what's the hook? And you might find there's like 20 different hooks. There's hooks for some of the hubs, there's hooks for some of the, and that's good. And but the more hooks you build, the hooks last. It's like a fisherman who puts 20 hooks in the water. You're going to catch more fish.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
As long as good. I'm absolutely loving. I love seeing the transition and the change and the growth and what's been happening. It's actually been really fun being part of that and seeing that. So thank you for doing it, because I don't think there are a lot of people out there who would, or maybe they would do it in a different way. And I think you've been so transparent with how it's gone. So
yeah, you're right. Well, a lot of people, I'm this weird mix in Western psychology of like, I'm really high in openness, but I'm high enough in conscientiousness to follow through. But I'm like so high up in openness, like insanely, like probably 97. I mean, to be just like completely grounded in the taboo, right? Like you have to be high in openness. It means you're totally rejecting conventionality. And being open to Dharma, I've been open to Dharma, since I started understanding what it was as a teenager. And so I think because of that, like the trade-off of needing to do what we did last year because it makes everybody else comfortable, everyone on my team, everyone in the community, everyone in my family, like, yes, and it's clearly not comfortable in my own skin. So it can't be right,
Yeah.
And that's, if you look back on you and the big decisions you've made, and like you take this message that I'm saying that you've lived, and you're just like, that's part of your message with your people. You see someone and you're like, they keep trying to like get themselves back in their dead snake skin, like, right? Aging gracefully. Like, stop trying to do that. There's a way easier way, way more fun. Plus you get to hang out with us. And then your main sales tactic is just FOMO. Really. It's just FOMO.
Well, that is it. That was it with the two that kind of like left the group and wanting to come back again. I left them on the WhatsApp group, and it was just like, I think they felt like, they saw the messages from the other members of like, oh, how great the call was today. And I think like they were like, okay, we're back in this month.
That has to go into your funnel. All of that, like part of the FOMO, like FOMO is a tactic in your funnel because it's real. Like the reason FOMO works is because it's actually like some clubs are way cooler to be part of. It's way cooler to be in the right club than to go on your own. You have a way better life experience. In researching on Inflamed, I came across this book. It was a study. It was an academic book. And the essence of it was that humans are an ultra social species.
Not just social, ultra social.
Yeah, we're not just a social species. We actually are ultra. Just, it's funny because that other word, that ultra, also comes in with urine, right? Yeah. This ultra plasma filtrate, right? It's ultra filtered blood plasma. It's ultra filtered. Like, what is that? Ultra, right? And that's your club. Like, you're creating this. Yeah, that's the, in one simple funnel. That's why you tell the stories of the members. You might even take clips of the conversation that you get part of and be like, this is what it's like. This is, when you age gracefully, it's not just like this and that. It's actually like you get to hang out with cooler people, and you stop buying into all this cultural bullshit, and you stop wasting money on things, and you stop like saying yes to everything because you can't listen to yourself and find your own intuition and yada, yada, yada. Okay.
I could listen to all day.
Have fun with that. You can. 4.1, 4.2, 3.1, and then 3.3. That's it. Okay, I'll see you on the live session.
Thanks so much for your insight, Kate. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Nina. Mwah. Mwah. To you and your future club members.
Thank you.